It's time. Good morning, America! We are coming live to you from the Boulder office here in Colorado to bring you the world's best, the world's finest, the giantest boss of the sock that has ever occurred today in America. After a mere 28 hours of being awake, we are ready to bring you the world's finest, and yes, we are good to go. So thank you for joining us. It's been an incredible tradition of doing that stream at you every day. We have, in fact, been here for about 28 hours. We got about 2 hours of sleep out on the streets. I'm cold and covered in leaves and nightmares, but we are ready to go. So with that, I want to bring you the world's best slideshow that I've now rehearsed 3 times. And we will discuss the boss of the sock. Any minute, we're going to go to a beautiful slideshow. There we go. So, Boss of the Sock 5, just a summer Monday. Once again, so happy to be able to bring this to you. Over 20 people toiled endlessly since February. We had over 100 people alpha and beta test. There are so many names I'd love to congratulate and thank, including all of AMER and APAC who just played. We had something like 2,000 people already go through this. So we're very excited to bring this to the Americas, which of course is our largest audience for the day. And we're excited because this is a brand new boss of the sock. We have a whole new server set up. We have new questions, new data. We've gone into places we've never seen before. And it's going to be a crazy ride for a lot of you. And we think that it's going to be the best boss sock we've ever done. If you've never done a boss of the sock before, you should know that we did this because we're incredibly lazy and wanted to get out of booth duty at Splunk Conference 6 years ago. We tried to get out of it, and our boss said, come up with something else to do. So we did. We called it Boss of the Sock. At its heart, Boss of the Sock is a blue team CTF using Splunk at its core. We create realistic data sets that are generated from news stripped out of the headline. We tie everything to MITRE ATT&CK and learning objectives, and we make it as fun as we can. There's a lot of weird, quirky things, from hamsters to dogs to all sorts of things in there that you're going to find. Apparently just animals, that's on top of my head. And at the end of it, of course, it's a competition. It is a CTF, so you're going to be competing against people in your region of America. We're also going to be competing against APAC and AMER. Overall, our registration numbers this morning were 3.3 thousand people, which is 2,000 largest than we've ever done before, so it's going to be a heck of a ride. You are, of course, playing as Alice Bluebird, the plucky antagonist who works at Frothly, a small home brewing startup. She is a cybersecurity expert and runs the entire network security infrastructure for Frothly, including the Splunk backend. Frothly, much like every other company in the world, has now gone fully remote. She's dealing with all the things that we are of a company going remote. And more importantly for Alice, her entire personal life has been disrupted. Usually, she takes a good month sabbatical and goes off to the playa. However, Burning Man was canceled. Then she goes to DEF CON and Black Hat, but as we all know, and as we sit here on Twitch and YouTube Live, InfoSec conferences have been canceled. So instead, she's having just a Northern Hemisphere summer Monday, right? She's going through all these incidents that are occurring. She's waking up and going through the drudgery of every day working through things. She sadly does not get to participate like bots and have someone screaming at you. You do. So you get to play her and go through the incidents for the month of August and 1 day in July. As you can see, she's had quite the busy incident time. All those little flames imply some sort of attack that's been on the network that's been recorded within Splunk. Now this year, we've been able to bring you, as we do every year, brand new data set, scenarios, and weird, wacky adventures of Frothly employees. We've really gone heavily into GCP and Kubernetes and AWS because everyone else is going cloud first, so why not? But we're also bringing you the old standard of APT, which is really where Boss of the Sock started, and it's still our flagpole event. And on top of it, we're now introducing new characters like this gentleman who's a used car salesman. He's going to teach you about the worlds of working remotely. But some major things for Boss of the Sock have changed. Let's go over the game mechanics real fast. Firstly, you already noticed there is no Splunk backend scoring server. There's only bots. Only bots. Bots.splunk.com, where you log in and register, and you go through and pick one of these scenarios. Each one of these scenarios represents a different part of the Splunk bots experience they're going to play with questions. So let's pretend we clicked on Kubernetes. What you'll see right off the bat is this new scorecard where a whole bunch of things are listed out, including the different questions and some information. If you click through, the first question you see is actually the Kate's cluster visibility, question 301. This is the background of the question. When you click into it, you actually get more information about how to answer and any hints that exist. You also have this idea of base points. Now, base points are easy. 100 points, easy question. 2,000 points, you're probably talking a weird Brodsky steganography question involving hamsters. I don't even understand what the man does for a living, but somehow he's still employed at Splunk. Total question answers are by team. Every team is going to go through these different scenarios, and you're going to get like a little bit of an update there of what's going on per scenario within the GUI. Now, this is a huge change. We've introduced a concept of resources. Resources are what you use for the scenario. So if you look over here on the left, it's a URL. This is actually how to get into the game server. And I should note, and I'll talk about this in a second, every scenario is unique to the, or every resource is unique to that scenario. So here we have a unique gaming server URL. And then over here, we have a username and password. Now this username and password is going to be used on every one of the servers you're given. So that makes it a little bit easier, but that's how this resource tab is laid out. Now, unlike John Dunn, who's a brilliant man, we actually believe here at Splunk that every scenario is in fact an island, and he can just go stay in the 17th century where he lived and died. So what we mean by this is you're going to go through different scenarios, and every scenario is going to have a different resource assigned to it. Here we can see the APT scenario and Kubernetes scenario. If we'd gone back to that resources tab, we would have had two separate URLs, and when we clicked on it, they would have gone to screens like this. I bring this up because you may be surprised to see these different servers. The data is unique to each one of these gaming servers, so make sure if you're trying to find answers to the APT scenario that you actually are looking on the right server. So, as we talked about earlier, I'm going to reinforce, resources are unique to the scenario. We may actually even have extra metadata associated with every single scenario. In this case, for the APT scenario, you can see there's actually a diamond model that John Stoner has put together, and he's also dropped his hottest new 2020 COVID single, Confessions. It is dank. You should definitely check it out. Now, you get hints. This is massive. You all get hints. We changed everything because you all complained too much about the hints. So now, you know what? We went full socialist. That's right. We're in Boulder. We're going socialist. Hints are free. Everyone gets them for free. What do we mean by that? They're going to be released on a time basis. So basically, there will be a hint release every hour, and then the last 30 minutes. So some questions have 4 hints, some have 1, but you'll see them pop up in the question screen here where you put in your answer. Scoring algorithm hasn't changed for 6 or 5 years. It's your first time playing. We've already talked a little bit about it. Base points for correct answer, 100 points, very simple. Now, if you have a speed bonus, let's talk about that. In the very beginning of the competition, if you have a 1,000-point question, that question is worth another 1,000, a 1,000-point bonus. So you can actually get 2,000 points. As time goes on, halfway through the competition, that bonus is only 500 points. So the total you'll get for the question is 1,500. If you throw things out the wall at the very last second, you'll get 0 points for the bonus because you've actually run out of time. It's kind of a linear degradation. Finally, we do have a penalty for wrong answers of about 10 points. I can say people who answer legitimately for the last 28 hours have never answered in the negative. So those are really just there to make sure that you're not trying to run through a script of answers and you're being a good person. Which brings us to winning. So we do have regional standings. We've done APAC and EMEA already. Have had winners for those different regions. We are now playing America. What we're going to do is award a winner for each individual region. And then tomorrow, we're going to actually announce at 11 a.m. on Pacific time during the security super session, we will have a slide that will actually show the global winners. And then at Tuesday at 5 p.m., after we've all recovered and actually slept in beds, we're going to do a hour-long or half-hour-long Twitch where we'll go over the global winners, the regional winners, discuss the hardest questions, and show some of the background of the analytics we use to monitor the whole event and detect cheating and do some cool things like that. But there is a bonus round this year. So, first time we've ever done it, we've actually separated out enterprise security into its own micro CTF. We're very excited to bring this. Lily Lee worked tirelessly on this for months. And the idea is it's its own little CTF. So when you log in, you'll see adaptive response actions to the bottom right, next steps. You're going to go through the questions in Splunk and actually dig into the different frameworks and bits and bobs of ES you may have never seen. We're super excited to bring this to you, and it is something we're going to be expanding on in the future. So look out. Tips and tricks. Keep it simple. We are not the smartest people, so when we write our answers, we try to keep it as small and precise as possible. So instead of looking for a really long URL, it's probably going to be just Microsoft.com. Now, saying that, if we do have an answer that's going to be long and complicated, we will give explicit guidance in the answer field for the question. The rules, we've added one this year. Go easy on expensive or slow searches. You don't need them. Don't be evil. You know what I mean here. We know, come on. If you're already asking what that means, then you're already wrong. Don't be mean to other people playing on different servers. Play well. Don't try to hack the systems. This is the new one. Don't change teams once we start. We have an asterisk there. So what we mean by that is, especially in the Americas, we have some super players here. And what we don't want to see is halfway through the competition, people joining super teams to try to dominate the system. However, a lot of you are playing for the first time alone. Feel free to go into the Discord room, single mingle, find a team. We'll wait for an hour or two before we really start evaluating things. We'll be pretty nice about it. Finally, as always in life, bots administrators' decisions are final. If we whack you with a negative 50,000 point penalty, it's probably because we have some damn good evidence showing that you've been doing naughty things. So with that, we'll go forward. Responsible disclosure. We do the best we can to secure these systems. We are cybersecurity professionals after all. However, this is a blue team CTF, not a red team CTF. You get no extra points for hacking or being malicious on our network. In fact, you get negative points as previously discussed. However, if in the course of human events you stumble upon something that looks slightly weird or hinky, feel free to tell us. We often drop bonus points for people who give responsible disclosures, and we're very happy to hear them. But don't be a butthead. Don't try to exploit things and be mean. What if you need help? This year we stood up Discord. The incredible Katie Brown, the server mistress of our Discord world, set up a great environment. We have over 1,000 people, I believe, who've been using it for the last 28 hours. It's been really useful for us to have one-to-one contact, and this is going to be a first-class citizen of bots going forward. After America is done, we will be leaving this Discord server up, and you'll see this more and more integrated into the boss platform as life goes on. However, if you've never used Discord, one thing to note, on the far left, we have scenario questions. Feel free to jump in and find out answers for any of the scenarios or get hints. We have coaches lurking each one of those to kind of provide some guidance and go one-to-one. If you have problems with your system, if your resources suddenly appear or disappear, if you have something that just doesn't work, feel free to pop that into general questions and we'll get someone on there. Single mingle. Once again, if you want to find a friend, that's a great place to look and join and create a team. And finally, music channel. John Stoner actually is just kicking off his amp now to go live, and we're going to have an incredible concert from John Stoner and the Loners later on today. Now, we've been playing for many hours. People are super excited to play. This is a recent map we made of all the different countries that have actually participated in Boss of the Sock so far. We know a lot of you from APAC and EMEA are actually still wanting to play and have re-registered. However, we are looking for you, and we have found, if you check my Twitter feed, you'll find some people who got some shadow banning going on with negative 50,000 points. Saying that, we'd love for you to continue playing. However, if you do play, please rename your team with a non-compete or no-compete tag. We'll be looking for that. No harm, no foul. We will dock your points just so that you're not playing to win. But you see that, we're happy, you're happy, everyone gets to play. Prizes, there are no prizes. This is Boss of the Sock. If you want prizes, go play a real competition. You play this for honor, you play this for glory, and you play this to be able to basically put it on LinkedIn and say you're better than everyone else, okay? Just a couple more things. Some of the websites that we have are still alive, but most of them have actually been taken down throughout the course of human events. So what you're going to want to do is if you see a website in the network traffic that you think is suspicious, feel free to wget, feel free to pull or something like that. But if you don't find it, make sure you hunt and peck around the internet. I'm sure you'll find some metadata living in passive DNS, possibly in Yandex, maybe it's in, who knows, it's somewhere. It's the internet, which is an important part. Don't forget to use open source intelligence when you're playing Boss of the Sock. For many of the basic questions, the 100s, the 200s, the 500s, you don't need to actually go outside of Splunk. But just like your day job, you're going to get to a point where you have to actually leave Splunk and do things at a bigger scale. Go off into the big bad internet, bring things back, and then go back out on the internet to find answers. So don't get too focused in just in the Splunk platform. You are going to have to go outside of it to different websites and resources. Take good notes. We put this in because this is the #1 thing that people tell us they forgot to do during Boss of the Sock. We'll bring it up again. Just like when you work an incident, you should think about writing down the notes. I can't tell you how many times competitors have told us that they found the answer, but they forgot to write it on their notepad, and then they couldn't find it in time before the competition ended. But I'd like to take a moment to discuss something very serious with everyone here. Imagine Sarah McLaughlin serenading me right now. As this goes on, the bots pledge drive. What we need you to do is actually make sure after you play or while you play Boss of the Sock that you go off and actually register for conf.splunk.com with the same email address that you used to play Boss of the Sock. Without that, they might kill bots, and you'll be personally responsible for the death of the beloved CTF. So please, my overlords, and register with conf.splunk.com with your email address. Guess what? If you do it, I promise some swag. All right? So we'll be sending out a survey link afterwards for how you can get a patch, and maybe even some more stuff. We'll be sending this out from Austria to Australia to Austin. So no matter where you are, if the Postal Service gets there and is still around in this dystopian future we live, we promise a patch at some point. Now, one last thing. As always, we need you to suspend your disbelief. We spend hundreds of hours, mostly volunteer, in our off time creating this data set. And sometimes it might look like a Suzuki Samurai is driving off a cliff into a helicopter to save your best friend who's being basically threatened by its blades while a stone goddess lurks behind you. What we mean by that is you might see Sonos.com or our Kovar or James Brodsky's personal phone number in the data. Do us a favor, just forget about it. Won't be a bad thing. So with that, hopefully you've already logged on to bots.splunk.com. Hopefully you're already in Discord. If you're having problems getting onto Discord, feel free to email us at bots@splunk.com and Katie will whip up some invites for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the general questions and we'll get to it. Otherwise, we'll start in about 14 minutes at 30 past the hour. I'm very excited to bring this to you. I'm also very excited to be done with this very long day. But we can't wait to bring you Boss of the Sock. My whole team's really excited. And thank you very much for coming, and we will see you all very soon.